Hey people, so I've been sitting here connecting some dots tonight, some patterns, as we're all doing at the moment. You know, I suppose a lot of us are. And I wanted to talk about jigsaws. I like jigsaws. I bet you like jigsaws as well. They're fun to put together. So I noticed in a certain jigsaw I was doing tonight, the 1970s. Okay, so check this out. In the late 70s, High Street started to become under attack, okay, for fictional purposes only. In this story, High Streets became under attack. They were closing down small businesses, they started to attack small businesses, started to attack pubs, things like that. This was all at the same time as a technological shift was happening. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of things here. I don't want to be majorly long, but I want you to get a little understanding of what I'm talking about here. So just before the 1980s, in the 1970s, in the late 70s, when all this started happening, shops and things and small businesses started to come under fire. In this story, technology called television shopping was just becoming available, okay, before the internet, before anything like that. And television shopping, in my opinion, in this story was supposed to be the thing that took out the high street, okay? So go with me on this. So say this thing, if it had taken out the high street and it had got everyone to have stayed in and order their shopping from the television, okay, before we had the technology we have now, it would be a good way to keep everybody inside, wouldn't it? Now, how would you advance on that? Once you've got the prototype, let's call it, how would you advance on that? So, for fictional purposes only, in the story, obviously, in the story, I'd advance on that by creating something called the internet. And then I'd probably attack more small businesses and small shops and things like that. And, you know, in the 90s. And then how would I advance on that? I would probably like to destabilize the world in a certain way. You know? In 2001, and then after that I would probably try and reset, maybe, you know, a certain economy which would benefit the technology, you know, that was to come. So let's go back to the end of the 1970s quick, and let's talk about the Bretton Woods system, financial system. You know, penny farthings, sixpence, that currency, shillings, 2 bobs, 1 bob, 2 bob, you know, which was now pounds. Money then was 1 bob, 2 bob, obviously. What would you need to do to that currency to set it up for a newer currency to collide with newer technology, work alongside, shall we say? Well, first of all, you'd need a thing called decimalisation that came in the late 70s as the tech advancement progressed. I talk a lot about tech advancement and progression through certain ways that they do things. It's actually fascinating when you look at it, if you look at how they advance their tech through through a lot of ways. Put it that way, there's a lot of ways they do it. But decimalisation, okay, so decimalisation, you go from 100 pence to 1.00 pence. And why would you do that? And why would you crash that whole system that helped people to do that? Fictional storytelling purposes only. You'd need to do that. To put the currency into a technological format. Which makes you wonder. Okay. Carry on that, and then in the 80s along came computers. Just keep going with me, this is fun. Along came computers out of nowhere, you know, people just, they turned up. Now we know they've been around since the World Wars and stuff, you know, so what would need to happen to put money on a computer? You'd need to decimalize it first, like we talked about. After this, you'd need the technology to be able to do so. Then you'd need to change the card system over to the new system, and then you'd need to somehow connect the physical money aspect of it with it. Okay, so let's go back to the telly shopping. Let's get people using cards and buying their things on TV so everyone stays in. Okay, let's go down that road. Boom, 1980, 1990. Okay, so more small businesses attacked, more corporation takeover, more buyouts, more land grabs, more this, more that, more that, and that. In the 90s, more contracts were being signed, more agreements were being made, more, let's say, dodgy deals being made. So now we've got 20 years after the Bretton Woods system is, you know, gone. And we've only just got the new currency, and obviously the new technology, sorry, not the new currency, the currency put onto the new technology. That then leads to, in the 2000s, 2001. I mean, what happened in 2001? 20 years after the reset, which was basically a reset in 1979, in the late 70s going into the 80s. 20 years after that one, 90, 2000, 2001. And you have another one. To maybe set it up for some sort of newer technology. Okay, so in the 90s, obviously came the internet. After telly shopping didn't quite take off, in this story, this fictional story, the internet came along in the 90s before the 2001. Okay, another tech advancement before another crash. And then, I don't know if you guys are finding this as fascinating as I am, but just look at the history I'm telling you about here. Go and fact check it, the things I'm saying, and how all these businesses were under fire back then. You'll be really surprised, trust me. So then after the internet, how would I advance on that? Because people aren't taken to it fast enough, maybe because the tech was too clunky, because it was in people's houses and not in their pockets. How would I advance on that? Well, just look what you got in your pocket. I think you know what I'm trying to get at anyway here, but that's fascinating, isn't it? How many times are they going to do it? How many times are they going to try it? They've gotten away with it a fair few amount of times. So, let me know what you think anyway. It's quite interesting to me. Peace out, be with resistance. Keep learning.